Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time, and I'm indoors for a change. I actually like doing the outdoor videos on my patio. They are much easier. To be honest, I'm much more relaxed. I do most of those videos in just one take. I knock them out because I feel so comfortable sitting outdoors and just it's so much nicer. I don't mind doing indoor videos, but I do have a lot of lights in my home office set up, and it's if you see all the lights that shine in my face, you'll understand that this is quite a different experience for me personally when I'm filming the videos. Thank you everyone. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time, and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the surprising link between the stock market and stimulus checks. Yes, you heard that right. I'm going to discuss two things in this video. The first is the link between the stock market and the first stimulus check. And number two, I'm going to talk about the president's fascination with the stock market. I think you have an idea about that, but you probably have no idea about the thousands of tweets that that I'm going to be showing you that show the president's interest and the fascination with the stock market and the economy. With all that being said, let's just jump right in. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. Thank you so much for making our channel one of the fastest growing channels on YouTube for politics, personal finance, stimulus, and unemployment benefits. So thank you so much. Let's jump right in. On your screen, you'll see an article from CNBC, which essentially tells us that a lot of individuals use their first stimulus check to trade in the stock market. Now, we have no trading commissions now with all of these softwares. Robinhood essentially started the trend, and now pretty much anyone can trade with little to no money. So trading stocks was essentially one of the most common uses of the first stimulus check in almost every income bracket, and people earning between $35,000 and $75,000 annually traded stocks. And that was significantly more than the week prior to when they got the stimulus checks. Quite interesting. There's a clear correlation between individuals who got the money as a result of the stimulus and their trading activities. And essentially a lot of online brokers, starting with Robinhood, got a whole bunch of new accounts as a direct result of this pandemic. Now, it's quite interesting when we talk about the stock market. On your screen, you'll also see an article from the Financial Post. And the fact is that the richest people in America own most of the stocks. In general, individuals who have more money, who have a higher net worth, own more stocks. That is a fact. In fact, the richest 1% of Americans now account for more than half the value of the stock market amongst US households, according to Goldman Sachs. In fact, if we take a look at what's happened to the stock market since the president took office, you'll take a look at this graph on your screen that shows you what essentially happened to the stock market since the president took office. You'll see that the stock market went up and then it went down. It has its normal ups and downs. It went through some sudden downturns. The most significant downturn so far has been what happened in March of this year, right when the pandemic impacted the economy. A significant drop to the stock market in March of this year. And at the time I'm recording this video, as of yesterday, September 3rd, there was a significant drop in the stock market. There was a 3.5% drop in one day in the stock market, and a lot of the big tech leaders, including Apple, lost a lot of ground, amongst many other stocks, including Tesla. So the bottom line is the richest individuals own most of the stocks. And if you're my viewer, my subscriber watching this video, and you're dependent on the stimulus check, you're dependent on the unemployment benefits, chances are you don't own a whole lot of stock. A lot of individuals who are wealthy own hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, in some cases tens of millions of dollars worth of stock. I'm talking individual households. I'm not even talking institutional investors. So that's just the way it is. The rise of the stock market, the rise in property values is making the rich richer, because what we are in the middle of is a K-shaped recovery. Now, it's quite clear that the president is quite fascinated with the stock market. On your screen right now, you'll see all the tweets from the president of the United States. We started from the most recent tweets as of yesterday, September 3rd, and then we worked our way backwards all the way to when the president started tweeting after he took office. So you'll see that the president has a fascination with the stock market, with the economy, with jobs, and the president has essentially put out thousands of tweets that pertain to the economy, that pertain to jobs, and that pertain to the stock market. The stock market is an important indicator of success for President Trump, because the president has repeatedly said, hey, look at your 401ks, look at the stock market's hitting an all-time high, and you'll see this on your screen. And again, we are working backwards from the most recent tweet that we have pertaining to the stock market, pertaining to the economy, pertaining to the jobs at the time we are recording this video. The president has taken pride in the fact that the stock market has consistently hit all-time highs since the president took office. Now, there have been fluctuations as you would normally expect with the stock market, but again, as you can see on your screen, the president has consistently taken credit for the fact that the stock market hit all-time highs. Along the way, he's taken whatever opportunities he could get to slam the Democrats, to slam anyone who wasn't on his agenda. And the president has talked about the jobs that have been created, has talked about all the measures, all the economic measures that have led to the growth of the economy because of the president's pro-growth agenda, because of the president's deregulation measures and all the other measures that have been taken as part of the Trump administration. One of the key factors for President Trump has been the success of the stock market. And I've been noticing, and I know you've been noticing this as well, that as the stock market has been doing better, the president has been talking about it, the president has been taking credit for it, has been essentially touting it as a measure of the success of his economic agenda. But between today and the election, if the stock market tends to go down significantly. Now, it's quite likely that the stock market will trade sideways. I'm not a fortune teller, so I'm not going to predict what the stock market is going to do between now and the election and beyond the election, because I'm a long-term investor. In fact, I would advise my viewers and my subscribers not to trade, not to be in and out of the stock market, especially during this unusual period of turbulence. I would advise you to be in a cash position, or if you're already in the stock market, just hang in there. Me, I take big positions in several stocks, and I just ride it out. That's what I personally do. Now, you can do what you want because you make your own decisions. But again, let's go back to all the tweets on the screen right here, and you can see that the president has consistently talked about the stock market, about the historic jobs numbers, as you can see on your screen, about cars and jobs, about the economic agenda, and along the way, like I said, the president has talked about his detractors and his opponents as well. But the fact that the stock market did consistently hit all-time highs during the Trump presidency is something that the president and his administration are very proud of. The president, as you can see on your screen, talks about a big day for the stock market and jobs. The president says NASDAQ hits all-time high. And by the way, if you've been watching the screen as I've been talking, you've seen how often the president has talked about the NASDAQ, how often the president has talked about the stock market, the fact that our 401ks are at all-time highs, which by the way also means that if the stock market goes down, and if it goes down significantly between today and election day, not only does that have the potential to potentially harm the president's prospects, because think about it, all of the individuals who invested in the stock market, who are now seeing their equity decline, are going to potentially want change. The president, who consistently talks about the rising stock market and rising 401ks, now, the president's not going to be able to claim that anymore if the stock market goes down, because now, hey, if you had a 401k that had a big surge and now it's seeing a big decline, all of a sudden you're like, hey, wait a minute, I don't have that surge that you were promising. Because for us as investors, a lot of us as investors, if there's a short-term impact, we tend to forget what happened leading up to that, because we tend to focus on what just happened to us lately. And that's human nature. There's nothing wrong with that. So again, if the stock market declines, that could have a potential impact on the president's popularity. The president's certainly not going to talk about it in his tweets and say, hey, the stock market declined, because the president is focused on the increase in the stock market, and so have all the other economic advisors of the White House. So again, the president's focus is on a rising stock market. So if a stock market does fall, like I said, we're looking at the president's we're looking at all sorts of unusual things happening, and definitely that's something that the president is not going to be happy about, because if you're a small investor and you invested with Robinhood and you made some quick profits, and now suddenly you're stuck, and you bought a stock for a few $1,000s, and now it's gone down by 40%. What are you going to do? You're going to be upset and you're going to be angry. So that's basically where things stand. And again, as you can see on the screen, the president talks about the biggest stock market rise in history, and now we're going back all the way to the start of this year, right before the pandemic hit. These are tweets in March of 2020, before the significant impact that the pandemic had on our economy. And again, as you can see, the president initially, before we knew of the impact of the pandemic, the president was focused on the strength of the economy, and and it is accurate to say that the economy was very strong, was in excellent shape at the start of the year. Unfortunately, there were pockets of the economy where individuals were still getting left behind, and that's exacerbated now. And we're scrolling a little faster now as we go further and further into the past and look at the president's past tweets, and we're going to work our way all the way, backwards to to when the president got elected. You can see back in December of 2019, the president again talked about the new stock market high. And again, as we scroll, if I analyzed all the tweets where the president talked about the stock market, this video would be 3 or 4 hours long. And since you guys don't want the video to be 3 or 4 hours long, and neither do I, we're going to go a little bit faster. And the president talked about the economy back in October 2019, and we're looking at tweets in October 2019 here, where the president talked about employment, talked about manufacturing, talked about the Made in America initiative. And you can see the stock market performance tweet here on the 1st of October, where the president already had started to take shots at his opponents, at the Democrats. The president talking about jobs, the president talking about the state of the economy. And again, this was back in July of last year. Seems like a different world now, doesn't it? I often say to my viewers and subscribers in my video that 2020 is a year that all of us want to forget. We want to look back at 2020 and say, what? Never mind. It was a figment of my imagination. So again, going back to the president's tweets now, we're looking at all of the tweets. Again, these are the tweets, president's tweets specifically on the stock market, on the economy, and on jobs. So you can see that the president is focused on the stock market, the economy, and jobs. Again, the stock market went up massively. This is a tweet from the 28th of July, 2019. Again, more than a year ago, essentially a lifetime ago for many of us, because many of us have seen our lives turned upside down in the past few months. Many of us have lost jobs that we held for decades, and 1 in 8 Americans right now have a hunger problem. Not something. If I said to you a year ago that 1 in 8 Americans would have a hunger problem, you would think I was crazy, and I would think I was crazy too. So that's where things stand right now. Working our way further backwards now through to September of 2018, and as you can see, that. The president is talking about the economy, the strength of the economy. And again, the economy was very strong at that point in time. And the reason I'm showing you this is I want you to understand the president's significant focus on the stock market and the economy. Now, if between today and election day, the economy improves, the fact is, I've talked about this earlier, the train has already left the station. This is a K-shaped recovery. The rich are getting richer, the poor are essentially left behind. So what is happening here is, even though the economy is recovering, there are millions of Americans, 30 million Americans on unemployment right now, including the PUA, including the pandemic unemployment assistance, including gig workers. So the economy is not in good shape by any stretch of the imagination. On top of that, if the stock market starts to fall further, while you're watching this, the stock market could be falling further, it could be stabilizing, who knows. As far as I'm concerned, just so that you know, I take the Warren Buffett approach, and Warren Buffett has basically said, hey, I don't know what's going to happen in the stock market the next day, the next few months, the next 6 months, but I know what's going to happen several years down the line. And I'm essentially paraphrasing what Warren Buffett has said, and that's the approach that I take. I personally invest in stocks for the long term. I don't do any trading. I do some options trading. Personally, options are require a lot of in-depth knowledge and require a little bit more a little bit more sophistication than just normal stock trading. And the rewards of options trading are very high. But then that's going to be a topic for a different video. But right now, again, I want to help you understand that because the president is so focused, and now we're working our way backwards to the June 2017 tweets. And even back then, this was a few months after the president took office. The president's, talking about jobs, talking about the state of the economy, jobs. You saw that tweet there, higher American jobs. For the president, if individuals don't have jobs and if the stock market is taking a hit, that makes the president much more likely to negotiate with the Democrats. That makes the president much more likely to go from 1.3 trillion, where he is now, to 1.6, 1.8, 2 trillion. Because remember, the Democrats right now are at 2.2 trillion. And by the way, that's the end of all of the tweets. Quite incredible, right? So right now, the Democrats are at 2.2 trillion and the Republicans are at 1.3 trillion. The longer the stock market takes a hit, or the worse the impact on the stock market, the more likely it is that the president will be amenable to a higher stimulus to try and get the economy back on track. The more amenable, the more under pressure the administration is likely to be to want to strike a deal. This is an economic reality. And on the other hand, as the jobs come back, as the unemployment rate reduces, as the stock market continues rising, that provides the administration better leverage in their negotiating position in the Democrats. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. If you learned something new, please click like, click subscribe, enable notifications. My team and I work very hard to bring you this content, and you can appreciate us by clicking like, by clicking subscribe, by enabling notifications. You can follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time. You can get your cell phone out, send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time to 70,000, that's 70000, and you'll get added to our SMS list. You can also get added to our email list. Just go to ignitiontime.com/alerts. That's ignitiontime.com/alerts. Now, sometimes YouTube does not send out notifications, so make sure you bookmark youtube.com/ignitiontime. That's youtube.com/ignitiontime. And then you can visit the home page of our YouTube channel once a day, whenever you want, and that way you will not miss any single video. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week, so make sure you're subscribed to our channel. I really appreciate you watching. Please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications so you get instant updates from us going forward. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.